Eric Schmitt, a member of the Senate Armed Services and the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committees. Senator Schmitt, thanks very much for being here this morning. Why is Biden protecting Iran's nuclear sites?
I don't understand it. It's weird. Whether it was Barack Obama or Joe Biden, the Democrats have sort of an obsession with assisting Iran in their plans to develop a nuclear weapon. Whether it was the Iran nuclear deal or now this, I don't think you have to look too far into the future, Maria, for a time when Iran is so emboldened as they are now, with tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in their bank accounts from hostage payments and sanctions that aren't being enforced now. They've been enriched. They were broke under President Trump, which is why they couldn't fund their proxies like Hezbollah or Hamas previously. They can now. And now they're directly attacking Israel. So Israel probably sees into the future and is concerned that those could be nuclear weapons someday being lobbed into Israel. So I think the important thing here is Israel has every right to defend itself. We should speak in one voice, and it's up to them. It is up to them how they decide to protect their own people and the sovereignty of their country.
Well, I mean, look, you're on the Armed Services Committee. Biden claims that he's ironclad with Israel, and yet in the middle of Israel's fight for its own survival, Biden was holding back critical weapons to Israel. And that certainly was a massive red line for Jewish voters. So I ask you, since you know this information, you're on the committee, is the U.S. sending Israel everything it needs right now?
There's certainly been delays, widely reported delays in weapons transfers to Israel. And I think, sadly, Maria, for the first time in our relationship with Israel, which started with Harry Truman, who was from my state, it's become very political. And the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party is gaining steam. And so in an effort to appease them, they do these little head fakes and winks and nods, and it doesn't help. Israel needs that unquestioned support that they deserve from the United States, and let Israel handle what Israel needs to handle. They need to wipe out Hamas. They need to wipe out Hezbollah, and they need to deal with Iran. Iran is now literally, they're not just using their proxies, they are saying, we are attacking you country to country, and Israel has every right to decide how they want to deal with that.
Well, John Ratcliffe on Sunday Morning Futures this Sunday said to me, the issue is that the U.S. government, Kamala Harris, shares a goal with Iran, the same goal, and that is stop Trump. Okay, that's the goal. And that's why Iran hacked into the Trump campaign. And that's why Iran threatened to assassinate President Trump. Are those things, in your view, an act of war? Should that have been responded to by this administration? The fact that Iran, the state terrorism supporter, is trying to hack into a presidential campaign and trying to assassinate a former president of the U.S.? Because there's been no response to that.
Right. Well, there also hasn't been a response, Maria. The Houthis, which are also funded by Iran, are attacking U.S. warships. They're attacking the U.S. Navy. And we've not responded to that. And that's insane. That doesn't inspire any deterrence. Yeah. And yes, Iran, it's public now. I mean, we've been aware of it in our confidential or classified briefings. Iran is supporting Kamala Harris. They want her to win. That's out there. That's not classified information. They have assassination teams in the United States trying to kill President Trump. Meanwhile, the Biden administration, and Maria, if people tell you that he's getting the same level of Secret Service protection, they're lying to you. He has more manpower now, but he's still being denied defensive assets, things that can be used that President Biden and Vice President Harris get. President Trump still doesn't get, and we know they're trying. The Iranians want to kill President Trump. So they want Harris to win. They want to kill Trump. They're leaking information. So it's very obvious that Iran doesn't feel like they're going to suffer any consequences from that. And that is a direct result of Joe Biden's weakness, which you can tie all the way back to the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The world saw it. Iran saw it. Russia saw it. China saw it.
Absolutely. Let me move on to other issues. We only have a couple of minutes left here. It's day 3 of the East and Gulf Coast port strike. Nearly half of American shipping hangs in the balance. Workers are vowing to stay on the picket line until a deal is reached. Biden warned yesterday that the port strike could turn into a, quote, man-made disaster. The pressure is mounting on him as nearly 300 trade associations are now urging the Biden-Harris administration to intervene, but they won't do it. And, Kamala Harris claims that she's on the side of the strikers. They're not on her side. I just asked Jeff Flock to ask those strikers in real time. We were live. Do they support Kamala Harris? Not one hand went up. So they seem to be onto her as far as what really she supports. What is your take on this strike?
I saw that, by the way. It was very telling. But yeah, first of all, it is a man-made disaster, and the man-made disaster is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is all a direct result of inflation. When you've pumped this much money into our economy and you reduced our supply chains, you shipped those jobs overseas, and you've declared war on domestic energy production, the prices on everything go up. That's why those workers are striking, and that's why you're probably going to see more labor strife because of that. We need Trump back in office to unleash American energy production. But it is telling. The Republican Party is a multi-ethnic working class party now, and you saw it right there. You saw it right there. Raise your hand if you support Kamala Harris. Nobody. Nobody. It's why the Teamsters, the rank and file members, support President Trump. Firefighters, cops across this country, and I think that's one of the reasons why Trump's going to win in about 30 days.
Well, the issue that we've been talking about this morning is the fact that we've sent so much money to house these migrants, and we just had an Inspector General report out by saying that all of these agencies did not even assess the threat of sending all of these illegal migrants into the country unvetted, without ID. And yet now Alejandro Mayorkas tells us that FEMA is out of money. There's no more money for those people hanging on trees in North Carolina trying to stay alive in the face of these massive storms. And there's no money for FEMA for the rest of the hurricane season. How much did we send to house the migrants? How much did we send to Ukraine? This is all outrageous.
Right. That's right. People see money going to Ukraine. They see money going overseas. They see money being wasted, and no money for Americans who are, been flooded out of their homes and are stranded. That's nuts. And so, again, but this is the consequence of terrible leadership. People see the money going to illegal immigrants, and they also saw the numbers last week, Maria. 400,000 convicted criminals, 13,000 murderers, 15,000 rapists here in the United States illegally, and they won't deport them. So this is nuts, and the American people, they're not going to take it.
All right, Senator, we'll keep watching all of this. It's just the bad policy has had such an impact on American citizens. It's just beyond. Senator Eric Schmitt, good to see you, sir. Thank you.